Alright, folks. So, just doing a recording here in my garden. You might be able to hear the air bubble, the air pump for the hydroponics that's going. I know what I want to share, I know what I want to say, but it's just so difficult to put it into words, to lay it all out, you know. You could speak for hours, I suppose. So it's the trick of trying to put it coherently and get it all down and sum it all up or express it, I don't know. But we do what we can, we do our best. Anyways, you know, I was just sitting here and preparing some of my tomatoes here for the hydroponics over here. These are some kind of, I don't know, tomatoes. I found some heirloom seeds, black tomatoes. I'm going to try my luck and, you know, try my hand at it and whatever it is. But while I'm busy preparing these to put into the hydroponics, into the, you know, the tank, I'm thinking about like a life that's not integrated, you know, that one isn't taking from their experiences of life, their memories of life, you know, where they're living very haphazardly or just on the surface of things, and how traumatic that actually is, like unintegrated experience. You know, I haven't taken psychedelics in I don't know how many years, and yet I'm still learning from the experience, you know. And just right now as I'm sitting here, just the sensation, the feeling of like, you know, that what I was learning on the psychedelics is that integrating your experiences, integrating your experience. Let's just say for that, you know, just to simplify it in that way. I mean, for example, if you take a psychedelic and you have an experience, you know, and you don't integrate, you don't think about it, you just move on. You don't let it change you, you don't digest it, you don't register any of it, you don't think about it, you just move on. It's like, you know, that's a trauma, I would say. Anything that isn't acknowledged, integrated, truly experienced, truly felt, even truly expressed, is a trauma. Eventually lands up to be a trauma. And so now what do I mean? Like, it sounds absurd. Well, you know, when I took psychedelics and I felt there were things in my life that I wasn't owning up to, I wasn't acknowledging, whether it was pain, whether it was just joy, love, things that I wasn't owning per se, that, or where I wasn't present, you know, where I wasn't taking seriously, that I wasn't taking for real. It's getting a bit hot here in the sun. You know, that I wasn't taking for real. That I was sort of just haphazard, you know, type of thing, just living by rote, living by culture, living out of fear, living, you know, not presently, not in direct experience, just kind of, you know, in the rat race or whatever it is, the you know, being an automaton, just thinking other people's thoughts, you know, people from television, you know, how to act, how to dress, how to speak, purpose of life, everything, you know, that I wasn't taking it seriously, that my own life, my own direct experience, like even sitting right now, you know, it's Wednesday, I think it's the 4th of November, and I'm just sitting here and like the world is very, very busy right now. There's a hell of a lot going on. Presidential elections, I think, were yesterday, I mean, I'm not exactly sure. You know, this whole CV story that's going on, South Africa, the poverty, the unemployment, the starvation, the hunger, just the, you know, somewhat of the end of the world, or a transformation into a new time. All this is going on, so much drama, so much tragedy, so much opportunity, so much happening, so much transition. And I mean, I'm just sitting here and looking over what am I feeling? What are my memories? You know, I was just going through my phone now and clearing up some stuff, and there was like a song that I would listen to regularly during lockdown, when the lockdown started, and it just reminded me of that lockdown experience while I was driving in my car and the streets were empty, you know, and it like reminded me deeply and connected me with that moment. And I'm like, yes, that was a very profound moment. That was a very, very real moment. You know, I mean, they're all real, but that was like a highlight. I mean, something or other. Psychedelics, for me, show me that. That's why I can't even smoke cannabis. I mean, I'm growing it here, you know, but I don't smoke it. I'm afraid of it. I am. I'm just, because I feel I go too high, you know, in that way. I can't integrate enough of it. I can't process enough of it. And it just, you know, I had my time, I suppose. Who knows, maybe I'll smoke again one day. But, you know, when you're just sitting and you're thinking and you're feeling of like the relationship that you've been, you know, things that haven't been processed, your life. On psychedelics, it shows you it's like, you know, where you've been living like a ghost, you know, where you've been living, again, just unconscious, baby, unconscious. You know, you haven't been taking your story, your experience you've been taking it for granted. You've been, you know, you've been sort of seeing yourself as just another 7.5 billion people on this planet. Like, who the hell are you? You're just like a leaf here on the ground or something that slowly will come and go, and there's no big deal, you know, whatever it is, and you know, it's insignificant. And that's it. It's to actually own. Like, I remember when I went to one of actually a bachelor's where they took mushrooms, these guys, and there was a guy who's a banker, and I told the story of a banker but this, you know, and we went to a farm with a guy. It wasn't a farm, it was outdoors, it was in nature actually, and they took mushrooms, and the one guy never took mushrooms, and he was glued to a leaf on a tree because the one leaf was yellow, and he was looking at it and being like, what's going on here? Why is this leaf yellow? Look at all the other ones. Look at the depth, the richness of green. Look at the veins in the leaves. Look at the new leaves, the small baby ones. You know, look what's going on there. They're just sort of coming to life, and they seeing the sun for the first time and feeling the wind. You know, he was really, really... And then he looked at the yellow leaf and he was so concerned over this yellow leaf. Like, what's the sensitivity over the yellow leaf? Why is it not well? You know, and I was amazed. His name was David P. I won't say his surname, full surname, David P. Sweet guy, and he was just like looking at it, and I got, come David, we're having another round of drinks. So people couldn't, no, shh, go away. Like, I can't, I don't even know, like, you know, count me out. I can't, no ways, that's too much. I can't, that's too overwhelming. It's like, you know, he looks at something, well, who are you? You know, because you're looking with real eyes, you're looking with, you know, authentic, present, direct experience eyes, sensational eyes, deep and open. Your aperture is completely open, your sensitivity is completely open, your heart is completely open. Your awe is just like, you know, in such awe, in such wonder, in such curiosity. And it just glues you to one yellow leaf. Because there's just so many questions. It's like, and then you think, I'm here, I'm present. I'm in this body. I'm breathing. Let's say at that time, it was 10 years ago, he was probably about 30 years old. 30 years old? What the hell does 30 years old mean? What does that mean? I'm a male, what does that mean? You know, I'm part of nature. You know, it's a freak out. It's like, it starts unraveling. You start getting too much. You know, and then he starts probably, I'm exaggerating it obviously, but I've had these experiences. And then you start thinking, oh my word, how on earth am I going to, this was on a Friday, it was a weekend bachelor's, you know, this was on a Friday. It's like, how on earth am I going to maintain myself amongst, I need to come back to David mode. How am I going to come back to the guys, you know, downing the beers, yes, to the groom, is it the groom, you know, the bachelor, you know, whatever it is, and nightclub later on, it was a Jewish weekend away, so some people were keeping the Sabbath and whatever it was. Be like, you know, and now I've got to get into a bus with all these people because there was a bus, you know, transporting us. I can't sit on a bus, like a minibus, you know. I just want to be here. I just want to process all of this. I can't, and it's just so much. I can't just whoop, close my aperture, close it all, wrap it all up, come back to David mode, and carry on, and be like, you know, I don't know, wear some stupid hat with beers, you know, something like that on the side, with a straw in his mouth, and be like, you know, or something or other. Let's go swing from that tree and dive into that lake. Let's do crazy. I don't know. Who's got a jock strap here and you know, just and run around naked or something. I can't do that. You know, your whole world is just so. So you start asking the questions. You start feeling, well, where am I? Who am I? Where am I? You know, what happens when we die? You know, you look at the significance of like just an ant. You zoom into that ant. You imagine what it's like to be that ant. The size of that ant, having the legs of an ant. I don't know how many legs ants have or whatever it is. The body, the consciousness of it. Your consciousness is just expanding. And it becomes all so alive that you feel like you're going to explode. You feel like you just want to, you know, like sometimes when you have on the VLC or even on YouTube when you can slow things down, the video, you slow it down, just slow it, and you can't. It's just getting faster and faster, and it's like, and the whole world it is, and you're falling down this rabbit hole, and you're like, oh shit, and your stomach, you feel like you're on a roller coaster, you're feeling like, oh shit, it's climbing, it's climbing, it's climbing, it's climbing. The climax of it, you're feeling it in your every being, in your stomach, you're feeling nauseous, you're seeing almost over the edge, you know, like you're getting to the top almost, and it's like the dip is coming, the free fall is coming. You're like, oh shit, oh, I can't handle this. And it's climbing and it's accelerating. It doesn't care how you feel, it doesn't care. Like, please, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, you know, because then it's, again, a whole lot of the childhood self. You start apologizing, you start praying, you start negotiating. I'll be more conscious, I'll be more present, I'll be more sincere, I'll be more authentic, you know, I'll be more spiritual, I'll be more present, I'll be kinder. Oh shit, there's a snake here. Jesus. It's enjoying the conversation. What? I thought I heard something. Yeah, folks, I don't know if you can see it. I could feel something. Gee whiz. Oh, shit. Alright, folks. Snake's harmless. Garden snake. I messaged, I'm part in the complex here. I just messaged some people to give advice what to do, and guy who knows about snakes said, no, it's harmless, can't do anything. He says, even if it bites you on your finger, he says, which is like, it's got such a small mouth. But it triggered for me my experience that I had with a snake in 2012, where it was a highly poisonous snake, and I was living in the country, and I went to go switch on the lights. It was dark in the house, and it was right by my foot, and I was wearing shorts, and the thing actually went for me, and I managed to move my leg out of the way, and it sprayed its venom and landed on my glasses. Could have gone into my eyes. It was horrific. It was such a close call, and it was a huge one and poisonous. Hospital as well was some time away, so it was just a near miss. And so for myself, I don't know if it was probably sometime in the recording when I heard something fall, and I looked. And I didn't think much of it, and that was actually the snake. I didn't see it. I think it fell from the roof. I don't know where else it would have fallen from. So the neighbors say apparently, they live well around the area, but they're harmless. They eat the geckos and the lizards, and it's actually interesting because this morning I've seen quite a number of lizards and geckos around without any tails, which is odd. So the snake has probably been here for some time and hunting them down, I would imagine. It was a beautiful snake, and so it's here somewhere here in the garden, but I'm not too fussed about it if it's harmless. I'm not going to hurt it or chase it away. It doesn't. If it's harmless, what difference does it make to me? You know, I actually felt quite nice that just to connect with it in a way, just to, I don't know, just it's a thing of beauty. I don't know if you saw it. It was just, you know, really beautiful and exquisite the way that it was moving, and you know, it was just. But it triggered some memories for me. It triggered some traumas. That night I didn't sleep. It was horrific, folks. I could, and you know, I called the guy who was when I was on the farm with this wrinkles, it's kind of a cobra, and called Simon Paul. You know, he handles snakes, pretty like, you know, affectionate to snakes, and he had the contraption and he managed to finally get it, but it was intense. And it took him about half an hour or something like this, and this thing wouldn't let go. It was just slapping itself on the floor, and just the venom was just going everywhere. And then I think it shat itself. I don't know, it released this white, stinking whatever was on the floor, and it was everywhere. Oh, it was such a nightmare. Because sometimes you're just so sensitive, and I don't know what the meaning of this all is while I'm doing this recording at the same time. And my neighbours came quite quickly, I must say, and he came with his pellet gun, you know, and I don't want him to see my garden because I'm growing, you know, there's a bit of ganja here, there's a bit of, I'm not supposed to be growing like I am, you know, I have to get permission to grow, and I just done my own thing here, and they seem to not give me a hard time about it, which is great, but still it's not comfortable. I like my own privacy and space. And another guy in the complex was saying, well, maybe I'll come and, you know, take the snake away for you, and I was like, no, please don't come to my garden. I just like my space. I don't have a garden. I do my own gardening. I don't have a maid. Here in South Africa, you can do it. You know, I mean, there's plenty available. It's cheap, but like I like my own space. Anyway, you know, that's also another thing that like kind of wakes us up to our slumber, to our unconscious. It's like trauma. Hey, it's like, you know, you're driving on the road, on your phone. You know, you're going to go pick up the kids from soccer practice. You know, you know what I'm saying? Just the sort of what most people are doing now, that engagement, that automatic involvement, that subconscious, unconscious, that you're just being driven by. You know, it's so scary. It's so frightening. And you're driving your car. On the way to pick up the kids from soccer practice or something like that, you're speaking to your friend about a coffee, you know, on the phone, on your iPhone, the latest iPhone, whatever it is, you know, pictures of your kids. And I mean, these are all fine and dandy things, but these are things that, I mean, I'm just talking about just the character, the stereotypical, you know, personality in a way, the carbon copy, the, you know, just whatever, the cookie cutout that people are, and living in this drama and this, you know, this stimulated reality with the Truman Show, the Matrix, all this is so fake. And you're going along and somebody skips the traffic light and smashes into your car, and the next thing your car starts to spin. Shit gets real, folks. Shit, in that moment, all of a sudden, you know, your life is turned around, you know, and I mean, it's a 180, and you're like, you know, now what you're dealing with, and it's like everything has just come to a complete standstill, you know, and whatever it is, and it's like, see, now my eyes are on the lookout, I see a big ant, and I'm like, you know, and it comes to a standstill. Trauma comes to a standstill, and you feel sick, you know. I feel nauseous when like, oh shit. Because it puts that pause button, like, you know, that guy David P., you know, taking that psychedelic, it puts that pause button, and shit just gets real. And it's like, you start noticing your breath. I don't know, maybe you're injured. I was in a car accident, there was blood, my hand was cut, whatever it was. I was like, you know, your head starts spinning. You don't know what's happened. You feel out of sorts. You're like, whatever it is. And then you just feel so helpless. You feel so vulnerable. And anybody that comes to you with a bit of assistance, and are you okay? That's just that voice, that kind of comfort, that calmness. It's like, oh, just hold me, you know. Psychedelics do that. Psychedelics are traumatic. They're traumatizing, man. They are brutal. They are brutal. They're not to be messed with. They're not to be taken lightly. Oh, for heaven's sake. And so that's the panic attack. That's what a panic attack is. You're in the kitchen, you're washing the dishes, you're feeling something coming on, your thoughts are speeding up like at a rapid pace, whatever it is. Your hands feel sort of weak, and you can't hold the dishes, they're shaking your hands, whatever it is. You feel like you're going to faint, you need to sit down, the water's flowing, you just manage to turn it off. You're like, you walk away, your breath is going hysterical, whatever it is. Maybe the kids are in the room next door watching the TV, it's very loud, saw the other day, not the other day, but a year ago, 2 years ago, my friend Tabo, who I was friendly with at the time, and he was having a panic attack, and the house was loud, and there were people drinking, and the TV was on, and his girlfriend was like, didn't understand what was going on with him, and he just climbed into bed, he pulled over the covers, and he was just breathing heavily, and she was like, she didn't know what was going on with him. She says, you're drunk. And he wasn't drunk. He was just having a panic attack. And it was like, and so all of a sudden then, shit gets so real, and you're like, oh no, and you can vomit, and you just feel like, your body's hot, your temperature rises, you just feel like, when I've had panic attacks before, I've like stripped down to my underpants almost and just like gotten on the tiled floors, just to feel a little bit of coldness. Oh, it's just so hot, you feel like you can't breathe or whatever it is, and it's panic, it's terror. But it's awakening. It's revealing. It puts you into that present moment, and slowly and surely the ego comes back, and slowly and surely you collect yourself. I mean, you're finished. You're exhausted by it, right? You're like, you can't. You're drained, or whatever it is, and you're just overwhelmed, and you just slowly got to put the pieces back together and carry on. And then brave up and face the music, and whatever it is. And then again, people be like, you had a panic attack. And people who haven't had a panic attack or an existential moment, because that's what it really is in a way. It's an existential crisis, an existential moment. It's like when meaning and significance comes bursting through the seams, bursting into your life, that you've been so far removed from it, so far away from it, and all of a sudden, it's all coming in at you at such a, like, tsunami, and it's just engulfing you, and it's just like, I don't know what to do with this, and other people look and they have no idea. They have no idea what's going on with you. They think you're crazy or something or other. They have no idea. They have no idea. And that's what's so hard about it. That's what's so, like, you can cry, when you're in those situations, you just like, you feel so alone, because it feels like you've just been in a car accident and there's no one else around to help you, and I just, like, you see these scenes in movies which is terrible, where there's war and the guy's like, stepped on a mine, what do you call it, and a bomb or something like that, what do you call it, a bomb, well, let's just say whatever, and it goes off, and the shrapnel, and his stomach is cut open, and his, intestines are lying outside of his stomach, and he's like, calling, he's saying, mommy, where's my mother? I need my mother. He's crying for that comfort. He's crying. He's in, and it's horrible. And I mean, his friends come around, and obviously, other soldiers, and they know what's going on. But it's like, man, you're done. You're finished. And I don't know, you and folks have known, you've cut yourself badly, you've needed stitches, you've lost a limb, whatever it is, you sliced off your finger, and the shit gets real. The blood starts to pump, the adrenaline starts to, and you just pray for normal, you just pray, you just want to collect yourself, because it's all, hell is being unleashed in a way. And so I think that's why psychedelics was so important. As Terence McKenna has spoken about, through human history, to nullify ego, to sort of take it, to keep it in check, keep it in bay, keep it in its rightful place, And, well, without psychedelics, I'm saying, egos, and that's what's going on now, and that's the world that we live in now, and being removed from nature. Ben left a comment on my video. He was saying, like, when I speak about nature, I can't remember the exact question, but I mean, I'm not saying that nature is to be messed with or it's like it's all lovey-dovey. I'm talking about the spirit of nature. It's a whole nother talk, but it's the spirit of nature. The spirit of nature, what's behind the trees, what's behind the clouds, behind the, the birds, the insects, whatever it is. That's the spirit that, we are aligned with or to become with, that heals us in that way. It's the spirit that just lives within. Anyway, that's a whole other talk. But so being removed from nature, being removed from the fact that there could be snakes around, the fact that there are animals that want to hunt you down and eat you, and things like that you are prey. That there are predators out there, kept you in alignment, kept you, prim and proper. You can't mess around you. There's no room for grandiosity. You'll be taken out or whatever it is. And not only that, but anyways. So when you realize in yourself, in your life, that it's in vain, a lot of your life is inauthentic and unlived, your potential hasn't been, you don't know who you are. This is actually the talk I wanted to do, which I'll do for another time, about, I was thinking about this, people do not know who they are. I was going in my life as individuals, does this person know? Let's say, does Andrew know who he is? No, he doesn't know who he is. Does David know who he is? No, he doesn't. Like most people in my life, I'd say 98% of people that in my life don't know who they are. And I want to get into a talk about that, what happens when you don't know who you are, and what that's about. And so all of that, when you don't know who you are, right, and you've been living inauthentically, and you haven't been integrating your experiences, and you haven't been involved in the relationship with your life on your own personal level, and you haven't been growing, you haven't been transforming, and you've been living inauthentically, right, then I'm seeing a tomato tree here die. It's terrible. I overfed it, and I can see it's just struggling. It's horrible to see that. And so, but the sensitivity, I'll just come back to what I'm saying, the sensitivity of being in touch with your plants. Before I had no idea, but the sensitivity of being in touch with the birds around you, the sensitivity, you can feel what's going on with the plants a lot of the time. You can, if I put myself in the plant's position, I can feel, oh, you're too hot, you haven't been watered enough, oh, you haven't got enough space to grow, or you're too close to the other plant, you haven't got enough nutrients. You talk to the plants, right? I uploaded a video last night about healing with horses. There's this realm of being, of spirit. Jeez, man, we're so disconnected from. You see that everything wants to grow. Even the weeds want to grow. Everything needs nourishment, needs nutrition, needs substance of goodness. We all need. So what I'm saying, coming back, sorry, I'm just sidelining there, but that when you, what was I saying? You don't know where you are. You've been led down a road where you're unfamiliar. It's not your own calling. It's not by your own choice. You haven't been integrating your experiences. You haven't been, you haven't been thinking about your experiences. You've just been going from one thing to the next, day in and day out, every single day without seeing. You've had children. You've gotten divorced. You've gotten fired several times. You've made a lot of money. You've become addicted. Whatever it might be, you haven't looked at your childhood. You haven't looked at your narrative. You haven't looked at your story. You haven't paid attention. Your own direct experience, what it's been about. You haven't done any of it, and so you're a ghost. And and the all beingness, the intensity of meaning, right? If you haven't got something that of your own strength, power, empowerment, understanding, knowing thyself, if you haven't got any of that, if you're not connected to truth, if you're not connected to meaning, if you haven't lived a meaningful life, a purposeful life, right, or whatever it is, in that way, a truthful life, if you haven't, you've got nothing of substance, you've got nothing to keep the existential at bay without sort of traumatizing you and sweeping you away, where you just you just become a nothing almost, you just evaporate, because it evaporates you. And that's what I'm so afraid, for a death that could be the case, is that so many people, when you live inauthentically, that it's just evaporated, It's just, I mean, there is karma. I do believe in karma, but in a way, it's like all the lack of love that you didn't do, all of the lack of direct experience, like you didn't take yourself seriously, right? You weren't present, you weren't still, you weren't, whatever it might be. I'm still looking for that snake, you know, that you weren't conscious of, you weren't present enough, the richness, the diversity of, whatever it might be, that you weren't, you know, that you were disassociated with, that you were living in some kind of matrix, like all of that, like, is, you know, is a weight on the soul. I really believe that. But at the same time, I think one of the pain is that the soul, at its time of passing, realized that it didn't grow. It had an experience, you know, which can learn from that experience, but it wasn't, the experiences when integrated, it was in vain. And that's what I'm worried about, like, in a sense, is that it's in vain. And like when I've looked in my life, I'm like, I just don't want my life to be in vain. I don't want it to not have any meaning. I don't want it to not have any purpose. I don't want to know that my efforts, my suffering, my struggles, my growth has meant for nothing. I want to know that I've capitalized on opportunity, that I've pushed myself to my limits, that I've, you know, that I've done the best that I can, and that I've known who I am, you know, and that stood me in good grounds, and that's made me feel, you know, confident about myself and connected to myself and the soul and the spirit in myself, you know. The relationship with myself has served me well, right? And it served me well, it's guided me well, it's aided me well, and it's been a life that's lived. You know, not just a life that's survived, but a life that's lived with passion and thrived, you know, and made the most of in that way. And that I haven't just been a ghost in that sense, and it's been lived well. I don't know if I'm there. I'm certainly not there, but it's always a growing. It's always a process. It's always a becoming, right? That's why when the New Age comes along and says there's nothing for you to do, you're already complete, it drives me mad. It is so dangerous. It is so pathetic. It is so dangerous. It can't be anything further from the truth. Everything in this universe, you know, that has a heartbeat, not even a heartbeat, but has energy behind it, has a purpose that needs to develop and needs to grow. Everything here that I'm looking at, the insects, the ants, the bees, the birds chirping, the trees, the flowers, the leaves themselves, every single thing here has a process that it needs to unfold. It has a destiny that it needs to complete in that way. Every single thing. I've taken this plant, you know, I've had to take out these beans from the soil. The roots are dying. It's still fighting to grow, you can be sure. It's horrible when I need to do that, but it's still fighting. Everything is fighting to grow, to achieve, to accomplish, to continue. Human beings were put here to bring meaning out of nature. Animals can't do that, right? A richness. Animals can't write poetry, right? They can't write screenplays, scripts. They can't be creative in many. They can be, but it's very limited. Anyway, human beings, it's what resides with us. So now when we look over our lives, I did this talk the other day, when we look over our lives, how do we package the experience of our lives? That it's been miserable, that it's been painful. Yes, parts of it, but like what I'm saying is that it's for nothing. It was a waste of time. You see, here's this other gecko. I mean, this lizard, it's huge, and it's got no tail. You can see it's on the lookout. I've never seen them. This gecko, no wonder it was inside yesterday. This lizard, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it there. The tail's missing. Look at the size of that thing. It's on the lookout. It's aware, you know. Don't know what it's doing with its tail. Maybe taking a crap. But it's looking. It was inside yesterday, and it's never come inside. And I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it out the house. I'm now worried what's in the house. I couldn't get it. It was like looking at me. And usually these things, like, you move and it just runs. But this thing was in the house and wasn't moving. It was obviously seeking protection in the house. See, nature is brutal, man. You've got to keep your eye open. You've got to keep paying attention. Otherwise, you'll be somebody else's dinner. And that's the world we live in. Most people are somebody else's dinner, right? That's how it goes. And there's the pain in being somebody else's dinner. It's not like, oh my God, it's so cool to be somebody else's dinner because everybody's doing it and it's so stylish. You know, let's just do it. Let's be everybody else's dinner and let's go with a bang. It's like, you don't understand what's going on here. Like, we don't understand what's going on here. I've got to do something about that tomato. I've got to try and take it out the sun or something like that. It's literally dying as I'm speaking. Anyways, folks, so what was I saying? So yeah, I think you get what I think I made my point in that way. But a life that has been like, deeply experienced, that you've been deeply involved in, right? That you've direct involvement, that you've been present with, that you've integrated, right? That you haven't disassociated with, that you've grown with, that you've made the most of, right? Or whatever it is, that you've known thyself. That, authenticity and goodness, all these things they matter, and that it's not null and void, it's not in vain. It's not in vain. Alright folks, there's much more to be said on this, but I think I'll end off on that for now. Thank you for joining me on this experience, for being present with me in this very novel time that we are in, and maybe make the most of it. Alright, take care folks, be well.